Hello, everybody, and welcome to Glitters of Life podcast. I am your host, Rohit Kokane, and in this episode, we have a very special guest with us, and we have chosen a very important topic to discuss with you all. And today, we have with us Priyanka Row, who is mind coach, NLP practitioner, and image consultant as well. And today, we are going to talk about an important topic, which is about how to get rid of fears, the limiting beliefs, and also the childhood trauma. So, it is going to be an interesting conversation. And welcome, Priyanka, on the show.
Thank you, Rohit, for having me. I'm looking
It,
forward to this conversation.
Exactly. And the kind of topic that we have chosen, I feel that we all deal with this kind of a issue. More or less, we tend to speak or not. But then again, we have those emotions within us. So let's about more about that. So, Priyanka, when we talk about the fears, limiting beliefs, and the childhood trauma, how do we define that particular thing? Because then for each and every individual, it differs. But then if you have to generalize it in a way so that people will be able to understand what are those kind of fears and the limiting beliefs or the childhood trauma, how you will define that particular thing, and what kind of impact it has on our lives of the people.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you started off this question because one of the challenges with childhood trauma is that most people don't realize they have childhood trauma.
Yeah.
They're not able to define it, or they don't understand that perhaps I'm unconsciously carrying that as well. So, trauma can be anything from something you know, as bullying or being compared to other kids or a one incident of bad touch to something as extreme as sexual molestation
Yeah.
or living in an abusive home environment or constantly being belittled or bullied in school throughout. So it could range from a single event to a series of events. And your limiting beliefs, which arise because of childhood trauma, can be unconscious or conscious,
Okay.
which means you might not even know you're carrying it, or you could be so aware you're carrying it that it's become second nature to you. Like I have some clients who say, you mean we can stop overthinking? I didn't know that there is an alternative to it, you
Right.
know? Um, and as a result of it, it then will emerge in different structures of your life. It could emerge at your workplace, where because as a child you were told, tum chup beto, you don't know anything, you're just a child, go study, don't poke your nose into adult business. You grew up feeling that your opinions don't matter, you don't matter. I my I'm not intelligent enough, I don't have anything of value to add. So as a result of it, you can't say no to your friends, or
Yeah.
when you're standing in a queue, you can't speak up for yourself, or you can't even go to your boss and you say you deserve a pay rise,
Right.
right? This could be how beliefs has come up. So you actually got it at home, but the effect is coming in your work environment, which probably didn't even exist when you got your limiting beliefs because of childhood trauma.
True that.
So the root can be in any structure of your life, but the tributaries can come up in different ways.
Right. And it is really important to understand this, because then when if we can consider this as a pillars for personal development, it will always act as a hurdle. Because then fear, like we are not able to move ahead with the limiting beliefs. Again, we feel that we are something more or less into that particular category. And the childhood trauma always restricts us. Like it gives a kind of a feeling that no, we are not doing well. And it carries from the previous generation again. So again, we have to focus on this in a very important way, and for each and every person it is going to differ. But then how you manage it, and as per your expertise, you deal with a lot of clients, so you have to formulate a great strategy for each and every person. So for that, we always wanted to know like how to define that particular element. So when we will be covering first the fear element, Priyanka, so what do you feel about like what kind of emotion fear is, and how does it get into involved in our daily lives?
So based on my clients, the topmost fears that come to me, number one is fear of change.
Okay.
Number two is fear of uncertainty. Number three is fear of public speaking. And number four is either fear of rejection, or fear of failure.
Right.
These are the topmost fears that actually come to me, as a mind coach. Now, I'm not going to go into details of it, but fear of failure could also mean feel like a failure,
Huh.
and you think it's fear, but actually you feel like a failure.
Right.
So you need help to understand and define also what is the kind of fear you have.
Right.
Um, Now, these fears, think of it um, like the cause. The effect is stress, anxiety, overthinking, panic attacks, loss of sleep, loss of appetite. And here's where the challenge lies. Most people treat the effect.
Yeah.
I'll take an anxiety pill. I will do breath work for my stress. If I'm getting panic attacks, I will start maybe doing yoga. But the cause, which is the
Cause.
fear, has not been addressed. But even that is not sufficient, because behind the cause is the root,
Yeah.
which is coming from your past. So when you're dealing with fears, you actually have to deal with the effect and the root simultaneously.
Right. So it is very important to know, because then the entire narrative changes from that. If we are not hitting the root cause, then again
Yeah.
we are allowing it to grow somewhere down the line. Again, so like for example, the current period might be good, but then again, if we are trying to do something new, then that fear might hold us, and then we will not be able to move in the direction that we are always wanting to. So when you're working with the clients, I'm just wanted to getting a clarity about like how do you deal with finding that particular root cause, because then as you said that people are more focused around like taking pills or doing kind of exercise or something like that, but to
Yes.
eliminate that particular thing, to mitigate its kind of a effect, what's your strategy of dealing with it?
Okay. So, firstly, I'm not a counselor, which means I
Yeah.
don't do talk therapy.
Right.
I'm not a therapist, so I don't perform head therapy on some like hypnotherapy, which would also help you identify your roots, or maybe Reiki healing, even though both are wonderful sciences.
Right.
So, as a coach, I teach tools and techniques to help you overcome your fears, limiting beliefs, childhood trauma, overthinking, negative self talk on your own eventually, so that you're not dependent on external people all the very time. So the idea is to make you emotionally and mentally self sufficient. So my approach is also along those lines, where I teach and I handhold so that you can learn to identify your roots also on your own eventually,
Right.
right? And the way I would typically do it is, I would pretty much go into the past in a very detailed manner with the client.
Okay.
From the time you were born, what was the home environment like? What were your occasions with your family members? What happened in early schooling? What happened in your home environment? What happened in high school? What happened in college? What happened in your early adulthood? So I go through each of the phases in a very, very detailed manner. And as the client starts talking to me, the subconscious mind will automatically start pulling up memories, incidents, and pain points that they probably don't even realize, or maybe they've suppressed. And then once I get that, I establish the pattern for them. I identify the roots, and then I show them the techniques to dismantle the roots. So by dismantling roots, I mean you can potentially learn how to release people who have scarred you,
Yeah.
release memories and incidents to such an extent that you will not even be able to recollect details. Because memories and incidents are just energy, and energy can
Yes.
be transformed and released.
Right.
You can release your inner child who's still carrying that, even though you don't live in that world anymore. You can release patterns, you can release belief systems. And then, as you start releasing each of these elements, your present day triggers collapse and your thoughts and behaviors start changing.
Right.
So, that's the process that I typically follow.
It's quite a deeper process, and again, as you said, I would like to take that keyword that people have to open up with you, or whoever they are seeking help with, because then unless and until we are not speaking of the kind of problems that we are facing, I don't
Yeah.
find we will be able to get the solution, because then we are into a loop of overthinking. We are able to say like we'll be figuring out once we move ahead, but then again that doesn't happen, and we stay into that particular loop of like unproductive phase, and then it again impacts our life. So it is very important that we should be able to ascertain all of these elements and then work ahead. So Priyanka, do you feel that there are a lot of kind of healthy fears as well, which help us to move ahead, but then we are able to take that particular step after like someone confronts us, or there might be some irrational fears as well? So
Hmm.
how do you see to it particularly?
Got it. So I have a client of mine right now working with me. She lives in Hyderabad, and she has two fears. And this will
Okay.
allow you to understand how the mind works.
Yeah.
She's got a fear of failure, but she also has a fear of success,
Interesting.
which means your mind can have conflicting belief systems.
Yeah.
Fear of success means I'm not worthy of success.
Hmm.
If I succeed, I will leave my loved ones behind. If I succeed, people will be jealous of me.
Yeah.
If I succeed, I will have to work extra hard. So I don't want to change my comfort zone.
True.
That is fear of success. A lot of people have fear of success.
Yeah.
And of course, fear of failure, of course, that you're going to fail whatever you do. So in such cases, fear of failure typically is destructive. But fear of success can be also constructive,
Yeah.
which
Right.
means if you just change the perspective of success in your mind, then that can be a huge driving factor for you. So, in such cases, you pick what adds value to you and you leave out the rest. So, your mind can have complete belief systems, Rohit. I'm a modern, liberated, educated woman, but I believe in Buri Nazar and I tie black dhaga on my leg.
Yeah.
I'm a student of science, but I believe in the paranormal and ghosts. I am I have social anxiety, but I'm not insecure as a person. I lack confidence, but I'm also scared of being seen as overconfident.
Quite contrasting.
Yes, and I'll give you actual examples of what clients
Yeah.
tell.
True.
So in such cases, you will pick what adds value to you and you will leave the rest. So I help my clients identify that dichotomy and then make that decision.
Okay, Priyanka. But then again, you said about the acceptance, like people are not able to accept what they are dealing through. Then how we can bring that particular acceptance of changing that particular narrative or perspective? Because then if we try to shift that particular perspective, then I feel that there is again a light after the dark tunnel that we are passing through. So
Right.
what could be that particular strategy if they are not seeking help or something like that, they want to overcome of their own? So how they
Hmm.
can change their own perspectives?
Okay. So two things here. Firstly, when the student is ready, the teacher arrives.
Yeah.
So if the person is not ready, they're not going to come to me.
Get that.
No matter how much I might convince them and try to tell them you need this, they will not come to me. But even after they come to me, I don't go into the past from session one.
Okay.
I actually do it only 3 or 4 sessions down the line. Before that, I create moments of truth or points of evidence of change in them so their mind sees evidence that, oh, I am changing.
Right.
Oh, my thought is changing, my behavior is changing. Because remember, the mind needs evidence and proof to believe something.
Very true.
Right? So the first 2 weeks, I work only on reprogramming the subconscious mind and releasing emotions that currently are troubling. I don't go into the past at all. Because in the first 2 weeks, with the energy medicine techniques that I use, as well as subconscious program techniques I use, clients are able to see evidence
Yeah.
within a week or two. Oh, I am speaking up in meetings suddenly. Oh, my anxiety has dropped. Oh, I'm sleeping better. Oh, I had to make a decision and I found myself making the decision really quickly. Once the mind gets evidence of a change, then it totally opens up
Right.
because it's a heat seeking missile. It needs a target. I want more now. Ye dil mange more, or
Huh.
rather, ye mind mange more. And then the person is ready to really like open up, share details because oh, clearly she's working on me, she's helping me, the techniques are working on me. Now I want to kind of empty my cup completely. So as a coach, one has to also earn the trust
True.
and the credibility, no matter what your body of experience could be. For you, I'm a first time coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is my job and my duty to serve you, to win your trust, to win your credibility, and to show you enough proof of evidence the shift is happening. That is my duty. And that's something that one always needs to be careful about.
Exactly. And it takes a lot of efforts to understand their perspective, what kind of change they want to bring into their life, and
Yes,
accordingly mold them to take those particular steps. Because then, if you're not going to take actions, I don't feel that we can't get like rid of those fears or anything that we are dealing through. So,
correct.
guiding them to a right path is again a tough job, but then you're doing amazing. And I'm learning a lot of through this kind of a conversation. But what I feel is that self acceptance is a key in mitigating those fears, is what I feel. So if it is that kind of a true thing, then how do we practice that? Because then when we start accepting, it gets quite lighter for us, because then we feel that no, we are dealing with this, we might be able to share with our close family friends as well. So that is the ideal process a person follows when dealing with any kind of a situation. So do you feel that self acceptance can play an important role?
It is the key, because with awareness comes liberation.
Yeah.
What you accept, you get free of. What
Right.
you see disappears. So self acceptance is the bedrock.
Okay.
Uh, and then from there comes growth and change, which is why I said only once the student or the teacher arrives. You might not even know what your challenge is, but at least you should know there is a challenge.
Right.
That is enough for a practitioner, a counselor, a therapist, a coach to work on.
Okay.
And not just know that there is a problem, but that I want to change.
Huh.
I might not know what my problem is. I might not know my roots. I might even say I've had a wonderful childhood, but I don't know why I'm feeling all this. I even have clients who say that I've had a wonderful childhood. I've had great parents. I've had everything I wanted, but I'm still feeling this. But at least they're open to venturing into the past and finding out why am I feeling this. That is enough. So even one baby step is sufficient.
Exactly. And the world is getting quite a lot of in a very shaping in a very dynamic way, is what I feel. In our times, like in my childhood days, there were not a lot of things to observe. But then again, right now, children have access to most of the things, and then again, it becomes quite a competitive world. So some
Yes,
person might be having more than what they have currently. So again, it becomes quite a competitive thing, and then people
yes,
start looking at each other and then try to define their life accordingly. So what I feel
yes,
is that we have to be content with our own life and then move ahead.
correct. And to your point, this is something, one of the most destructive minds. It's called I am different.
Yeah.
I'm a middle class student. I'm in a school full of rich kids. I am different. Or, my Hindi is not very good, and all the students here speak Hindi really well. I am different. Or I come from a small town, and all these big city boys and girls are very smart and shrewd. I am different. Right? So the comparisons leads you to feel you're different.
Yeah.
I am gay, I'm different, society rejects me. I'm brown skinned, I'm different, I face racism. I come from a single parent home, I am different, so I feel less than others. So then the comparisons result from feeling different, and this is very, very destructive because it then leads to low self or inferiority.
Yeah.
And because you're constantly facing it every day, it becomes such a strong belief system that it becomes your second nature.
Right.
Then separating you from it becomes very difficult, because that is me. I'm not a morning person. It's
Yeah.
such a strong statement that you can't disassociate yourself from it.
True.
So that becomes like a belief system. So comparison is there's a saying, right? Comparison is a thief of joy. um,
Exactly.
it it can't be truer than that.
Yeah. And the world is quite big. We all have like our set of problems. We have to deal with it rather than comparing each other's lives, is what I feel. And then only we can be on a better path so that we
Yeah.
can enlighten ourselves and then move forward.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that's why I tell my clients that you are not your mind. You're not even your body.
Right.
You're a divine soul. You're a divine being. And you are thinking you're a human and comparing to others. Clearly, your soul had a very strong purpose to come this human life.
So true. I do agree.
And when you start opening yourself up to such insight, it's like our job is to keep the door open. The universe will tell us what's our purpose, what is our path.
Right.
And once you find it, these things become so irrelevant and immaterial,
Right.
you know. But people are not able to get there because when you have all this baggage, especially from childhood, holding you down, how can you even think of purpose
True.
or path or divine soul? You'll be like, forget all of that. First, fix my overthinking. Forget all that. First, let me at least be able to like speak in public without my legs shaking.
Yes.
But um, that is the bigger picture.
Exactly. And again, as you said, like we have to keep our door open. If it is open, then we can walk through that particular door and see like where it leads us to.
Or the answer can walk through
Yeah.
to you the other way around.
Other way around. Again, the matter of perspective.
Yes.
Yeah. Now that we have covered about the fears, what I feel is that we can move towards the childhood trauma. It is a very important topic, and we have seen like with the kind of generation that we are facing, it is
Hmm.
getting prevalent.
Hmm.
And I did ask a lot of people like if you have got any questions to ask about this particular topic. Then I got a one question which is asked by Ankita, and she wants to know like how can we stop replaying certain unpleasant incidences from our childhood? It almost always comes unexpectedly. So what do you have to say about this? Because then it has been asked by a person and they want to know about like how they can deal with such kind of situations.
Okay. So you mean to say that a memory or incident keeps repeating in their mind?
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
And it
Let
comes
me-
unexpectedly. Like you
hmm.
might not be thinking about this at the moment, but again, at the very next moment, it may pop up.
Yes, it gets triggered
Yeah.
and then it surfaces from the subconscious mind essentially. Let me just give a little bit of precursor before I answer this question so that Ankita can understand the context here. Now, most of us, Rohit, get our belief system at the age of 7 and 14,
Okay.
which means that most childhood trauma is also between this age group. Now, 0 to 7, your learning is completely subconscious. That's why a baby in a womb is learning as well. They say, tell a mother, be very careful what you read, see, watch, the child is
Huh.
absorbing it. Right? So I've had clients where their mothers didn't want the child for whatever reason, but they had the child. But they have turned out to be wonderful mothers. But the child still feels rejected, abandoned, and unloved because of the initial data collected that I'm not wanted.
Yeah. Get
Right?
that.
Yes. Now, 7 to 14, your conscious mind kicks in. Now, Rohit is able to question, understand, analyze, assess, infer, discern. And that gets added to your subconscious learning, and this comes your belief systems. So, when a traumatic incident happens, it gets embedded in your subconscious patterns and law of thermodynamics. You can't create energy, you can't destroy energy. You can transform energy. So the water you drank can be made what ice vapor. You
Yeah.
can transfer it from one glass to another. You can't destroy it. So when we face trauma, we have certain default survival mechanisms. Number one is fight. So I have two Rottweilers. They will fight
Okay.
fear and threat. They are fearless.
They are fearless. Totally.
If an indie dogs meets my dogs, they will flee.
Yeah. Totally.
Animals also flop and fold. Tortoise goes in the shell. Snail coils up. A worm coils up, sorry. A snail goes in the shell.
Shell.
And the fourth one is the most common us human beings. We think we're the most superior human beings on earth. But what do we do when we face trauma or fear? We freeze. You go on stage, you freeze. A train is coming to you, you freeze. Something else happens, you freeze. And when you freeze, you absorb all those emotions, trauma, and patterns in you. And because energy cannot be destroyed, where does it go? Nowhere.
Nowhere.
It's still like tenants without paying rent in you. And it keeps growing, 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 growing based on your situations. So, Ankita, that is why when you are triggered in present day situations, that memory incident automatically comes up because it is sitting there waiting to be triggered, and it cannot be destroyed internally. But you can transform and transfer it. So, ancient Vedic science techniques, Western energy medicine techniques can release memories and incidents, Ankita, permanently. I've had clients who removed rape memories, suicidal memories, trauma memories, death memories permanently,
Interesting.
which means that when you take the emotion out of the memory collapses.
Right.
It's not that she might not remember the incident, but will have no emotional weightage on her, no
Yeah.
emotional charge. Because the emotions are removed, the memories collapse. And when the memories collapse, the patterns collapse. That means Ankita will not attract the same kind of incidents again and again and again.
Very important, and I hope this kind of a perspective will definitely help Ankita to deal with kind of a situations, because then it is very much important to know like what is the root cause, again like we discussed earlier, and then taking the best of the remedies so that these unpleasant situations or the moments like we are not reminded of them. But again, like we are all human beings, okay. As you said, that memories they stuck into our mind and they can come in any form, but then hitting the root cause and then pulling them out would be a better choice, is what I feel. Because then once we get emotional like if we are like not having any kind of emotions, then again we don't feel like a human. So it is more about like how do you want to uh, deal with that kind of a emotion and then move ahead. So it was a
Yes, you
great
don't
perspective.
end up being numb.
Yeah.
That is as bad as having a uh, you know an intense emotion.
Right.
Have to be maintain the middle ground.
True
But
that.
coming back to your roots of childhood trauma, like you were saying, the roots, right? To help people also identify their roots, we mainly get our belief systems or our trauma from three sources. One are our parents, because they're your biggest role model. Whatever they tell you, pick up unquestioned. Or it could come from your extended family, uncles, aunts, grandparents, family structures, or it come from your school environment,
Yeah.
just peers or friends. So you can also on your own go back and identify where did I get it from based on your life path.
Exactly. And I feel that we should be offering a lot of space to the individual, because then the circumstances were different, the generations were different. And then again, the pattern of growing as an individual is now getting different. So, what I
Yes,
feel is that let them bloom into their own area. They'll be able to assess themselves in a better way. We don't have to make them accountable for each and everything. They will be able to figure it out of their own, because then the more the responsibilities we shared on their shoulders, they will be able to handle it better. Because if you're making just like keeping them in a hold, or like don't allow them to grow at the particular age, again it becomes a quite restrictive approach, is what I feel. So
correct.
that hinders the growth.
Yes, absolutely. So, burden of expectation. Like I had once had a client of mine who was on anxiety medication and
Okay.
because of overthinking. Because as a child, all he heard his parents say is, "You are our only son. You have to take care of us when you get older. You have to get a decent stable job. We will depend on you. You have to take care of us." And that creates such a burden for him that I better do well, or how can I look after my parents, that
True.
he had anxiety. He was on anxiety medication. He moved 6 jobs by the time he met me in his 40s, because he feared failure in every job, because thinking he won't be able to take care of these kind of expectations. So, and like you said, there's nothing wrong with what the parents said. Like they come from their own belief
Yeah.
systems, they come from their own childhood upbringing.
Right.
uh, their conditioning is also they are different, so they operate from that conditioning. It is only now that our new generation is opening up to making to understanding conditioning of children and accordingly responding to that. They're reading, they're understanding. The early generation didn't know,
Didn't know.
for lack of any other word. It's not their fault. They didn't know. So they did the best they could, whether it
Yeah.
was positive or negative. Which is why when I work on childhood trauma, at the very end, once all your emotions, memories, patterns have been dropped, I also make them go through a forgiveness technique
Okay. That is required.
where you let go of the people. And that transforms your relationships with your parents if they're still alive, because then you also now start understanding where they came from, and what they did to you does not affect you anymore.
Right. And we have seen a lot of change in the family structure as well, Priyanka, because then earlier we had larger families. Now, again, we are moving towards the nuclear family, and still the problems are persisting. Like, if you are not able to manage 3 or 4 people, then again, we have to take that particular class, like how to deal with the people in our own circle. Like, they are the blood relation people. So, managing or like dealing with our parents or the siblings, etc.
Yes.
There's a lot to learn from them as well.
If only this was taught in school, right?
Yeah. Maybe in near future that will be taught.
So much more helpful than trigonometry right now.
Right. That is the reason we have to do podcast on such episodes, like the topics that we have chosen, because then again every person is dealing with, and they want kind of a solution, they want kind of a perspective that will help people out there. So have you come across people who deal with a kind of a low self image or something like that with the childhood trauma, and how to deal with that particular thing? Because then again ultimately it affects our own image, so we are not able to project what we are, and then again it damages the kind of growth that we are looking forward in our life. So does childhood trauma affects that particular self image as well?
Oh, all the time. I once had a client of mine from Delhi who, on weekends or holidays, cousins would be made to stand in a line on against a wall, and you had to spell. And if you couldn't spell, you'd be reprimanded there and then. Look at your brother. He's so intelligent. Look at you. You're such a duffer. You're such a fool. You don't even know this much. There and then reprimanded and pulled out. You know, and as a result of that, this she came to me when she was about 26, 27. She was working in an organization. She had low self-image. She had a lot of weight on. She had very little self-care and self-love, because when you don't feel worthy, self-love is a mountain.
Yeah,
Where they say, how can you love yourself? Like, I can't even imagine that. And that's so sad, because you spend the most time with yourself,
true.
but you can't even love yourself. And that will affect your work, that will affect your physical health, that will affect the way you dress, that will affect how much of time you spend in your personal growth, in your personal care, that will affect the way you interact with others, and that will also, most importantly, affect your personal relationships. Because you will either attract toxic people who want you to be a doormat, or who trample on your self-worth, or who make you feel that you are worthless, because that's the frequency you're on, and you're only going to attract such situation experiences in people.
True.
So a lot of times people marry their mothers or or their fathers, which
Yeah.
means the husband or the wife is like their mother or father. If it's toxic, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And the pattern repeats. So self image comes from childhood. It can either come from because you were compared. It can come from a scarcity mindset, which could be financial scarcity, or otherwise it could come from, like, I have a client of mine who's got vitiligo,
Yeah.
the skin ailment where you
Yeah.
get patches. So she grew up with this low self image because of that condition.
Even I'm a kind of a patient of vitiligo, but then again I gave up that particular mindset. It is more about accepting yourself and then dealing with, like, I don't get the point, like what people will be talking about and how it affects me. I'm able to run my mind, I'm able to walk, speak, and do a lot of things. That is something that we have to carry forward, because then again it is all about the good work that gets reflected, and not
Yes.
about your conditions.
Correct. And she's married today. She's got a kid, and she obviously has found a life partner who loves her for how she is and the way she is. So it all depends on your self worth and how you turn around, and then the circumstances change. So self image, low self image, 100% comes from childhood, for the simple reason that nobody is born with a low self image.
Right.
No toddler feels that he looks ugly or she looks ugly.
Right.
No baby has anxiety or panic attacks. No child has overthinking issues. You ask any child, beta, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a cricketer. I want to be Virat Kohli. I want to be, a billionaire. Because at age you believe you can be, do whatever you want. That's your original belief system. You're born enough, you're born complete, you're born worthy, you're born fearless. You're not born with fears. You're only born with two fears, by the way: fear of falling, that you overcome as soon as you start walking, and the fear of noise. So babies get startled very easily.
Yeah.
Every other fear is acquired and conditioned. So if you were not born with it, that self image, low self image, can be reprogrammed to go back as close as what you were born with. And believe it or not, the subconscious mind can take anywhere between 3 to 5 weeks to start reprogramming, in some cases, finish reprogramming. So I've had clients in their 60s release fear of public speaking in 3 weeks.
Amazing. That is totally a positive sign, is what I feel.
Yes. Or someone in their 50s who have had depression of 20, 25 years, overcome it in 45 days. Uh, Not because I'm a phenomenal coach. The mind is that powerful that it reprograms and releases.
Right. It is very much important to understand all these core concepts, because then again, if we are going to have that kind of a healing process, then it becomes important that we should be aware of all the elements and then move, take those kind of steps and then move ahead into that direction. You are sharing a lot of insights, is what I feel that is very much of important to each and every person, because then knowingly, unknowingly, we all are dealing with something. Uh,
Yes.
it is just that we won't be able to express at the given point of time, but then silently someone is walking their own path and their own journey. But again, we have all the kind of hurdles that we want to overcome, and all these insights will be really helpful. Now, talking about the limiting beliefs, uh, how does it changes our perceptions, and what kind of impact it does have on our life?
Um, so limiting beliefs are anything that is stopping you, right? Stop you whatever you want to do, whoever you want to be, whatever you want to have. It's as simple as that,
Yeah.
right? So belief systems could be like, I am born unlucky, or no matter how much efforts I put in, I never get results, or people don't understand me, or life is meant to be a struggle. If I don't struggle, I will not achieve. I have on my online course about close to 100 belief statements that is part of the course to help people identify which is theirs.
Yeah.
So there could be tremendous amount of limiting beliefs that you can actually have. Um, and as soon as you have, if I feel I'm unlucky, that's all I'm going to attract. If I feel that I'm not, I don't have leadership quality, belief system. So the next time a promotion comes up or a team leader position comes up, I realize there's no way I'm going to apply for it. Which means I've denied myself the opportunity to even prove to myself or anybody else that I can do it.
Exactly.
Or I always attract unavailable men. So the next time I meet a great guy, my belief system will kick in. And remember, the belief system kicks in from the subconscious mind. The conscious mind does not object to it. It doesn't question
Okay.
because it's come from the subconscious mind.
Hmm.
90% of the mind. This is only 10% for you.
10%.
So it will not question it. So when this belief comes that I attract unavailable men and I meet a great guy, this is going to go down the same road as it did earlier. Let me not waste my time on it and let me walk away. And I walk away from a potential great opportunity that might have evolved into a very beautiful relationship. So your limiting beliefs influence your every decisions, actions, thoughts, so on and so forth. So let's say I want to be a mind valley coach one day. That is my dream. But my belief system is I'm I'm a corporate employee mindset.
Employee mindset.
I don't have business in my blood. I don't have that entrepreneurship skill set. Damn, I should have studied this in college. Now, if that's what I believe,
Yeah. Agreed.
I am going to avoid opportunities out of fear because I can't do it, and I'll step back. Like for me, a wonderful example is Priyanka Chopra. Not just because she shares the same name, but um, the fact that she could step out of a comfort zone and stretch it and go to an alien country, an alien industry, and make it so big.
Yeah.
You can imagine the amount of self belief that was behind her to go through that hustle again and get to where she is.
Right.
Like she should be doing a self belief course. It will sell like hot potatoes. That is a sign of a positive belief system
Right.
where I can literally start from scratch and build a bigger empire.
We all.
So belief system need not be limiting. Most families who came to India after the partition, Sindhi Punjabi families,
Huh.
they left their entire wealth, assets, inheritance, and they came literally with a bag. Majority of them have grown into financial success, business success again.
Yeah.
Why? Because the belief system is, अरे पैसा हमारे खून में है, business हमारे खून में है. We can do it again.
We can do it again. काफी सही बात है. And again, we have to like believe those kind of things that we can do something even after like hitting the rock bottom. क्योंकि
Yes.
या वो एक जर्नी फिर से शुरू करने का हमें मौका मिलता है. द सर्कमस्टेंसेस आर डिफरेंट. इट इज समथिंग दैट यू हैव टू बिलीव. व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड माय ओन पॉडकास्ट, आई वाजंट लाइक, आई डोंट कम फ्रॉम अ मीडिया बैकग्राउंड, बट
Hmm.
स्टिल to do it in a certain way that I don't respect my particular voice, the way I started, I didn't have kind of pitch, tempo, anything to it. But then I kept doing it, and today like it is something that I'm cherishing it. I'm able to earn through it as well as a kind of a passion project. So it is
And
more
you are
about,
fully at that.
yeah, it is more about doing it for a longer period of time and then believing in yourself that something is going to happen in a very positive way. अगर वो
Correct.
बिलीफ सिस्टम के साथ हम काम करते हैं तो then again वो इंटरेस्टिंग भी होता है and then we start enjoying the process as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let me add, you can change it today, this very moment,
Yeah.
and tomorrow can start shifting. And I'm not giving you fluff here. It's science again. It's frequency.
Right.
If I right now can tune to 91.9, I will get radio indigo. If I right now shift to 98.3, I will get radio mirchi. Based on which frequency I'm at, I will attract that channel. Which
Right.
means if I get onto the frequency of self-worth confidence today, right now, the frequency can shift my circumstances tomorrow.
So true. I do agree to this.
So it all that matters is today and right now, and the shift starts happening.
Yeah.
No matter how old, how deep the baggage you might be carrying of limiting beliefs, you shift it today and the frequency changes tomorrow. And that's why I tell my clients, you're so powerful, you don't even realize it.
Right. We have to like accept the fact that we can improve, we can make it big, and then again, it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It is more about like learning from your own mistakes, rectifying it, and doing better. But then
Yeah.
again, the current situation is not in your hands. You just have to give your best and see what kind of results it is getting you. So it is more about that. And Priyanka, we have a question. You were talking about the relationship as well. So we have a question from Shalini. She wants to ask like how to handle a partner who is amazing but comes with a self-limiting beliefs.
Oh, so simple. Send him to me. I'm just joking. So, how are belief systems created? As a child, it came from heterosuggestions. Heterosuggestions means the environment when it's coming from the outside.
Okay.
Parents, family, school. And then it became autosuggestion. That means you repeat to yourself what you were told, and it became. So, if an amazing partner has self limiting beliefs, the other partner, in this case, say Shalini, can change his heterosuggestions
Right.
and shift his belief systems. I'm not saying this is the only that will work. He has to do more work, deeper work, but that's what she can start off doing. So there's this great movie, King Richard, right? Which is on Amazon, on Richard was the coach and father of Serena and Venus Williams. If you've not seen it, you must see it. So, as a 7-year-old girl, Serena would be told every day, "You are Serena Williams and you are a Wimbledon champion. You are Serena Williams and you are a Wimbledon champion."
Champ.
And at 15, 16, she was the youngest,
Yes.
and she still is holding that record.
I got
Because,
goosebumps.
yes, because at such a young age, if you're told every day, you believe it. And it's come from your biggest role model, your father, your coach, and the person you look up to the most. How
Right.
will you not believe it? So, Shalini is also a very big role model for her partner. So, what she says will be absorbed, will be receptive by the partner. So, if she can tell him every day, for example, that, what she wants him to be, or who he should be, or who he can be, eventually the heterosuggestions will shift the belief system. He will repeat what she said, and they'll become his new set of belief systems.
Great. I hope this kind of a perspective will again help. But as you said, there is a lot of work that has to be done. But shift in a kind of a perspective, knowing the process of dealing with such kind of a situations, again gives you a kind of a positive edge towards like bringing that particular change that you're looking. Because then you call him amazing, and again comes with a kind of a problem or say like a hurdle, and it is just that you have to overcome it. So
See,
again,
conflicting belief.
yeah.
Amazing, but he has limiting belief system.
Again, you love some part of him, but then again, you don't love some part of him. So
Yeah,
that's a kind of a thing.
yeah.
Love
And
and
here,
hate relationship.
I'm sorry, I want to just add one more thing. It's so important that it should be his limiting belief system,
Yeah,
not hers.
hers perspective.
Yes. If he doesn't think it's limiting, it is not limiting.
Get it.
You can think it's limiting, but I don't think it's limiting, which means I will not be ready to change it. And B, it's not negative for me because I don't believe it's negative. So, in such cases, acceptance comes in, where,
Yeah,
like you said, you
yeah.
love the flaws and the strengths of a
Strengths.
person and love the person the way they are. So, Shalini needs to understand for whom is it limiting.
Yeah. Again, that is again a great perspective because then once we try to understand how we have to deal with it, then whose shoes we are stepping into, then it becomes more kind of a fulfilling kind of a journey, is what
Yes.
I feel. Now, coming on to the last part of this episode, Priyanka, I have enjoyed this kind of a conversation with you. The kind of insights you have shared are totally great. And I feel that these are all the practical tips that people will be able to apply into their life. Again, if they are seeking help or not, that is another question. But then knowing the topic itself is a very important objective of this kind of episode. So, if you have to summarize all of this, like the fears, childhood trauma, or the limiting beliefs, what would be your one advice to the every listener and the viewer?
Sure. Um, when you're working on your personal growth, you have to work on three layers of the mind. One is your conscious mind, your logical, rational thinking mind. Now, this will cause the overthinking, the mental noise, the laziness, the procrastination,
Yeah.
um, will all happen here, which means you have to work on that. Second is your subconscious mind, 90% of your mind. This is your childhood roots or early adulthood roots. And you have to kind of empty the cup and then program back into it the beliefs you want to have. So you have to work on subconscious mind simultaneously. And thirdly, which is the most important, which is my personal pet peeve, is your energy mind. Now, energy here refers to your feelings, emotions, fears, memories, experiences. You have 14 energy meridians in your body. Just the way your arteries and veins carry blood, your meridians carry your prana energy. And they also get clogged with trauma, fears, circumstances. And these are the meridians that actually clogging causes you emotional, mental, physiological shifts in. So you have to release from your energy system also. And today, energy medicine is really taking a huge narrative in the world. Western medicine, like orthopedics, is embracing energy medicine. Today, people are finding most medical ailments have energy roots,
Yeah.
emotional roots, cancer, tumor, strokes, heart attacks.
A lot of them.
a lot of them. The global wellness industry are really now understanding, and this is something which our Vedic science always knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's now the Western world is kind of embracing it. So you have to work on your energy system too. When you work on the conscious mind, subconscious mind, and energy mind simultaneously, the shifts start happening, which are more long term, transformational, and are less likely to resurface again. So, whoever you take help with, you know, whoever you feel comfortable with, make sure that one of your qualifying criteria when choosing the right person to help you should be somebody who works on all these three layers of the mind.
Yeah.
It can't just be talk therapy, or it can't just be healing, or it can't just be hypnotherapy,
Okay. Knowing
right?
that particular part is important.
Yes. Like, for example, I could be doing healing and being anxious the whole day, or I could be having a hypnotherapy session and then feeling low self worth the whole day.
May happen.
Could happen, right? I could be going to the gym, feeling great for 1 hour, and then feeling miserable about myself the whole day. So that's why you have to ensure that all these three layers you're taking care of with whoever you feel comfortable with when you're working on your personal growth. That's my last takeaway.
Amazing. This has been a very mindful experience is what I feel. And जो भी आपने experience को share किया, and those were like real experiences. Like you did talk about your clients by not disclosing their identity. That is something that people want to know, because then it is more about addressing those kind of real life situations, how people are kind of facing problems, then how you're dealing with it. So it's more about like walking onto that particular bridge, so that if you're on a one age, then you can again travel to a great life by walking through your experience, your expertise. That is something that I was looking from this kind of episode. And great, like it was such a pleasure hosting you again. Like जितने भी हमारे listeners है, काफी value मिलने वाली है, because then this is something that every person has to deal with, and in what manner to get rid of all these elements. It is such an important topic to discuss. So we have covered all the elements is what I feel. And if anytime, if you happen, like any of the viewer listeners want to connect with Priyanka, her social media links and the landing page links will be in the episode description. Please feel free to email her or like get in touch with any of the mediums available.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you so much for allowing me to reach your audiences, uh, touch lives and homes and mindsets through your podcast. And I wish you in your passion project every height and every success.
Thank you so much, Priyanka, and I wish you all the best for your future endeavors as well. Thank you so
Thank
much. Stay happy, stay healthy. Bye bye. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.